Good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday. It is February the 20th, and this is the Futures in 5 pre-market edition. And we are taking a look at the ES on the 4-hour chart. You can really see that we've been landlocked, right? We're looking at areas round and about 2770. You can see it came down into 2765. You can see it move up 2787, and we're essentially landlocked. Now, when we're landlocked, what we have to think about is what's most likely. And there are a couple of things that are really pretty important, and it's the following. We've got to make sure if we're thinking about weight, we're essentially bullish. We've got this upward motion. Our momentum is flat, right? So that means we're holding pressure. But this kind of weak action says that traders will push the envelope in one space or another. So my thought would be, hey, if you're looking at these top edges, consider taking longs near congestion and taking profit over here. And if you lose support at the first pass, you can be fairly sure that it's going to bounce. If it bounces and does not hold, we've got a problem. What we have today for the options and the spreads present before it opens is very, very tight. And so we are quite likely to break out of this patch. See this patch right here we had for a little bit, and then we collapsed, fell deeper into support. And if we do fade that way, we've got moves that really could get all the way down to 47 and then maybe pop back up to 60 if we are going to head further to the south. Otherwise, what we're seeing is deep pullbacks, buyers come into space. There are a lot of hopeful traders, and there are a lot of people that are hoping that the market is going to stay afloat. I talk to a lot of folks all the time, and you hear this thought about hope of, hey, this time it's different. We've got X in place, and this is going to happen, and so on and so forth. And for me, I'm just going to follow what the candlesticks are telling me, right? But what I am concerned about is a flattening motion here that could easily expand, giving me much more upside. And I do believe that upside is going to be into exhaustion based on general momentum events, or downside, which I think will pull up buyers into the mix. And that is the same across the board, whether we're looking at the ES, the NQ, the YM, whichever it is. You can see we're holding this edge around 70.37 or so. We are looking at resistance that's all the way up at 70.95 and some change, just a little bit up over that. Sideways motion here, as looks like a little bit of a reversion to the mean potentially. You see this fade, buyers still pulling in here, not spending time coming down into the baselines there. So we are looking at this kind of motion in general. Pullbacks, deep pullbacks going to find buyers, big breakouts going to find sellers. But because there might be a ton of pent up pressure, the breakouts in either direction, or break out, break down, could essentially hold. I think this is a very, very sticky place. Take a look at this motion. Upside, 920, something like that, giving us a break forward. But look at the congestion sitting over the last few days. Look, the deep pullback doesn't get anywhere near this moving average. And of course, this moving average is fairly reliable in terms of telling us overall current and what's going on. And it does nothing more than that. We do not trade with a moving average because that average just gives us a current. That's all. We're just looking at the major current. And that current says our pullbacks are buy zones if you're looking at this broad space. Look at the thin volume here. This action easily could be retraced, folks, but as long as we stay up in this area, pullbacks are going to be buy zones. Let's take a look at this guy really breaking out. I mean, wow. But let's take a look at the big picture here. If we are taking a look at this chart, This is at the upper edge of this formation. Everything that we're looking at, remember, news that we hear about hedge funds and about information about what they've done is always dated. And so we are seeing what they did last week. And of course, we can see that by looking at price. Now, I've talked a lot about this potential inverted head and shoulders. A lot of people go, well, you know, it doesn't really work. You know, for me, all I'm looking at is, am I holding my formations? Are my formations giving me areas of higher lows and higher highs? And can I carry that through? So far, those answers have been yes, and we've been looking at these breakout patterns for a while. Now we are clearly at old support that's been sitting as new resistance at the first pass. What are we going to do? We're going to come back into pullback pressure that's going to give us a new buy zone. So where is the pullback pressure? It could be as low as 53 and some change. It could be as high as 55.50. Some 55.20. Could be in any of those spaces. So what do we have to do? What we have to do is manage the formation and realize that up here we've got sellers, and overall our motion is bullish, and that bullish action is going to give us more buying information in general. Pullbacks, buy zones. Look at how many buyers showed up here. Now really, where they should be showing up is where we can see definitive old support, resistance, support, right? That's the curve that we look at, that little S-curve event. And so that is really where easily it could come down, right? Here's the thing, at this first edge, we should try to bounce. Those are going to be aggressive buyers, and they're going to stall out here if we are going to fade. And that's really what we are looking at right there. All the pullbacks are buy zones. This was a beast. It absolutely exploded to the upside. A little bit of thin volume here. Here is a point of control for us to consider. Here is the breakout area at 1348, support area all the way down at 1335, and then a potential resistance turning into support, creating new support down here is going to give us a bounce zone. But are we at the top of some kind of edge here in gold? I would say the answer to that is yes. So be very, very careful about buying any breakouts. And when you pull back and it bounces, trim a few gains. Remember, you want to take gains on the way up. You don't want to get out, but you want to take gains on the way up as long as you're making higher lows. You can always pull back in a very bullish action here. You can pull back and initiate, and if it fails to recapture your old edges, then you know you've got a shift of the current. All right, so far, very, very bullish in general. Good luck trading today.